great. Washington has been playing decent. For whatever reason, I don't like the size of the spread on this game because I could see conceivably Washington winning this game. However, the Jets defense is the number one defense in all of football, like right up there with Denver Broncos. And I could see this being a blowout as well. So I definitely picked the New York Jets at home, the favorites, to win this game. But a 5.5 point spread is a little large for me on this one because I just don't trust the Jets that much, and I think Washington's a little underrated. So I will pick Washington Redskins to lose by less than 5.5 points, but they will lose. All right, then we've got the Arizona Cardinals, a 3.5 point favorite on the road against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Picking the Cardinals, no brainer to win that one on the road and cover the spread doing it. Then we've got a straight up pick 'em, basically. Jacksonville Jaguars are a 0.5 point favorite, which means it's a pick 'em. At home, hosting the Houston Texans. Blake Bortles is dinged up. Now, my pick solely comes down to the health and status of Blake Bortles for this game. So long as he is healthy and playing, I think the Jaguars win easily at home against the Houston Texans. If there is no Blake Bortles, then I think the Texans actually win that road game. So there's your asterisk for you. Then we've got the undefeated 4-0 Carolina Panthers, who, granted, they've only beaten the 1-win Saints, the 2-win Bucks, and 2 other crummy teams as well, or teams with losing records. All the teams they've faced have losing records. But they are undefeated, 4-0, and they are on the road against Seattle Seahawks, and Seattle is a 6.5 point favorite to win this game. By the way, Seattle is 2-3, should be 2-4, had Calvin Johnson not fumbled the ball on the goal line or had the refs made the correct call and given it back to Detroit at the spot of the foul. So definitely picking the Panthers to cover that huge, inexplicable 6.5 point spread. But I will pick Seattle to get the win at home. Nobody wins in Seattle. I don't trust Carolina. Carolina gets their first loss of the season and falls from the ranks of the unbeatens, but they will not do it in blowout fashion. They will lose, but they will do it by less than 6.5 points. We've got San Diego Chargers on the road trying to recover against the Green Bay Packers. Packers are a 9.5 point favorite. Packers should definitely win that game. Their wide receivers are all dinged up. Devontae Adams is dinged up. James Jones is dinged up. Randall Cobb's slightly dinged up. Jordy Nelson obviously on injured reserve. But it never seems to... Andrew Quarles tight ends out. But it never seems to matter for Aaron Rodgers or the Packers. But like I mentioned, Chargers are one of those teams that just out of nowhere they'll play an amazing game. They'll play amazing and win the games they shouldn't, and then they'll lose the games they should win. So I don't know. There's a little bit of upset feel alert. Phillip Rivers 400-yard type of day feel to this. But I'm definitely picking the Packers to win the game. As far as that 9.5 point spread, though, you know what? Why not? Let's do it. Let's go with the Chargers to at least cover that 9.5 point spread, because I don't put them winning the game outside of the realm of possibility either. Then our last 3 games, we've got the Baltimore Ravens at the San Francisco 49ers. 2 stink teams right there. Used to be the battle of the Harbaughs, is not anymore. Let's definitely go with the Ravens on the road to beat the San Francisco 49ers. I just think the Niners are terrible. That's what I'm basing that off of. I think they're worse than their 1-4 record. So we will pick the Ravens to both win that game and cover the 2.5 point spread. In the Sunday night game, we've got the big grudge match where the New England Patriots go to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. The Colts being the whistleblowers on Tom Brady and Deflategate, and it's a good thing this game isn't in New England, or it could be very crazy and hostile. However, it is in Indianapolis, so that will help. Colts are a 7.5-point underdog at home. I want to say that Andrew Luck has never beaten the Patriots postseason or regular season. He's not 100% healthy. The team in general is not playing overly impressively and firing on all cylinders. No reason to believe that the Colts will win this game. They might cover the 7.5-point spread, but let's go with the Patriots to stay super awesome and not only win that game but do it by more than 7.5 points. And then in your Monday night game, which is a big game with big implications, we've got the first place NFC East 3-2 New York Giants on the road against the second place or last place, depending on how you think of it, 2-3 Philadelphia Eagles. So Giants could gain separation and ground on the rest of their division, and who appears to be most likely, the most likely immediate threat in the Philadelphia Eagles, at least according to most people. I don't think so. I told you all year they're going to stink. Chip Kelly is one of the dumbest idiots in the world of football, period. But so the 3-2 better team New York Giants on the road are a 3.5-point underdog to the 2-3 Philadelphia Eagles. These are always entertaining, great back and forth. Never over till it's over games, it seems like, every year between these clubs. I pick New York Giants to both win this game and, of course, then cover the negative 3.5-point spread. I'll believe in the Eagles when I see it. They haven't shown me nothing yet. All right, so there is your NFL spew. Let's see what we can get in for college football spew before we've got to throw in a quickie or two and get to our Balls Deep thought of the day. Thanks again for listening to Balls Deep Sports Talk with me, your host, Scotty Ball. All right, so finishing up on the college portion of our new football segment called The Spew. That's right. The Spew, at least for this week. Like I said, till the FCC ninjas come in and beat me with their nunchucks, we're calling it The Spew. Now we move on to college football. Quick Gopher report for you Gopher fans here in Minnesota. I'm not a big Gopher fan, but I live here in Minnesota. Gophers won big last week against Purdue. They did not look particularly impressive going into halftime. I want to say it was like 10-6 or 10-7, something like that, going into halftime. And then we turned it on. Purdue just fell apart, couldn't not turn over the ball. Just everything went our way. None of our weaknesses or problem areas got particularly better. The offensive line played decent. We ran the ball fairly well, but we've done that at times before. The quarterback play was adequate. It wasn't overly impressive, but it didn't do anything to hurt our chances of winning the game. And we've seen that before this year as well with Mitch Leitner, even though everybody wants to rip on him every game. Mitch Leitner has not been as bad up until this point as everyone said he has been. And consequently, he probably wasn't quite as good as everybody wanted to make it out that he was in our big 30 whatever to 10 or whatever win last week. But do not Gophers have a biatch of a schedule from here on out, pretty much. Nebraska being one of their only winnable games, and that'll even be tough. Wisconsin's going to be tough. Iowa's tough. Freaking Ohio State, obviously. Michigan, holy moly. I mean, they might not win another game. They could play decent football and still not win another game. Well, Illinois yet, I think, too. That's another win. So Illinois and Nebraska, maybe. Those are our likely two and only two wins yet for the rest of the season. But like I said, we could play good and still have that result. It's a tough schedule that the Gophers face. And ultimately, we should be looking for progress and improvement from the Gophers, not necessarily what happens ultimately in the win-loss columns, at least for this year. So there's your Gopher take. Let's catch you up to speed on what happened in last week's bigger, more notable college football games real quick, and then let you know where we're at for the top 25 and get you previewed, let you know who's all playing who this weekend, because there are huge games going on this weekend. If you're a college football fan, if you're not a college football fan, it doesn't matter. This Saturday is as good of a Saturday as you'll ever get to sit on your butt and watch amazing college football games. It's going to be endless. Take my advice, whether you do every Saturday or whether you hardly ever to never do. This Saturday, watch at least 2 college football games. You're going to have a bunch of amazing ones to pick from. And I'm guessing that you won't be able to keep it at just 2, that you'll end up having watched somewhere between 4 and 10 games, at least bits and pieces of those games, by the time you're done. But anyway, so real quick, what happened last week in college football. So, last week, your bigger, more notable outcomes. We had the number 10 Oklahoma Sooners losing to unranked rival Texas Longhorns, who have stunk, by the way, 24-17. We also had the 13th ranked Northwestern Wildcats coming off of their impressive, dominant victory over the Gophers, get shellacked by the Michigan Wolverines by a score of 38-0. Michigan is that good, and the Gophers are that bad, and Northwestern is in between, clearly. We also had the number 19 Georgia Bulldogs just continue to fall, losing an unacceptable loss to unranked Tennessee by a score of 38-31. In a great close Big Ten game, you had Wisconsin Badgers win 23-21 over the Nebraska Cornhuskers. We also had Boise State win big, Oklahoma State won, Florida Gators continue to roll, Florida State holds off Miami, and then in a great game, we had Utah beat the California Golden Bears by a score of 30-24. There were more games than that. But anyway, that's the ones we'll recap from now. Like I said, we're running out of time a little bit. So those were some of the bigger, more notable ones from last week's games. Now, this week, boy, I'm telling you, okay. So getting to this week's games, we already had one last night. Arkansas State, unranked, nobody cares about, crushed South Alabama 49-31. You're welcome. All right, so coming up tomorrow night already, we got a pretty big game, a very big game, as a matter of fact, in college football. Tomorrow night, we've got a Pac-10 game you can't miss. 18th ranked UCLA trying to recover from their big loss, taking on 15th ranked Stanford. So we got 18 versus 15 in conference game, Thursday night college football. Yeah, check that out. Also Auburn versus Kentucky and Western Kentucky versus North Texas tomorrow night as well. You can skip those. All right, Friday we've got 24th ranked Houston taking on Tulane. We've got 21st ranked Boise State taking on Utah State. And then BYU hosts Cincinnati and Fresno State hosts UNLV. They're all unranked. Then on Saturday's slate of games, here we go. 13 Ole Miss versus Memphis. 11 Florida State versus Louisville. Number 2 Baylor versus West Virginia. Great Big Ten game here. Number 20 Northwestern hosting number 17 Iowa. We got 22 Toledo should stomp over Eastern Michigan. Then in one of the games of the day, we've got number 10 ranked Alabama on the road against number 9 ranked Texas A&M. That's a can't miss. We've also got 19th ranked Oklahoma, at Kansas State. That should be a very good game. Possible sleeper game there. Upset alert. We've got number 7 Michigan State, I believe, on the road in Ann Arbor against in-state rival Michigan. Michigan is ranked 12th in the